So, just to break it down for our viewers, what is biohacking and why should they be interested in it?
So biohacking is about the democratization of biotechnology. And you can compare it to the democratization of computers that happened sort of from the 1960s when computers were big and they were just existing in big companies and big governments. And then we had this change where computers then became something that a lot of people had at home in the 1980s. And this created a revolution in terms of new companies and innovation and hackers. So what we are seeing right now is the same happening in biotechnology, because lab equipment, for example, that used to be very expensive and only in big universities or big companies, is now something you and I can buy online, and we can set up our own biotechnology lab in the kitchen.
Okay.
So this is what biohacking revolution is about.
And coming to the topic that you were more specifically talking about, the NFC chips that get into a person's thing. So it started out with animals. The example you gave was the cat running through the door. So can you talk a little bit about the evolution from that to going into human trial, or getting it with people and
Right.
your own personal experience?
Right. So the principle is that we have been putting artificial objects in humans for a long time, like pacemakers or hearing aids, and we have been putting chip implants in animals for many years. But what is happening now is that people are putting technology in the bodies who are healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and this is sort of a new step. And it's not just a tattoo for aesthetic purposes, but it's actually a smart function technology that you have inside your skin. And why we biohackers think this is interesting, because it's a very useful platform, and we want to explore it.
Okay.
Because we don't know what it can be used for. There are probably a lot of things we didn't think about yet.
Oh, okay. Since you spoke about a pacemaker, there was a story really some time ago about someone's pacemaker sending data back to the doctor, and it was hacked, and the person had a heart attack. Can you elaborate on such threats that happen because of probably something to do with biohacking and preventive measures about it?
Well, we've seen a number of hacks of medical implants, basically. I was thinking about that today, and I think I haven't seen any big news about that for a while now, but like 2 or 3 years ago,
Yeah.
there were news coming up all the time. Um, like with every technology can be hacked. There is
Yeah.
no secure technology.
Yeah.
So, like with pacemakers, I think nobody ever thought about the idea of somebody wanting to hack a pacemaker simply.
Okay.
So nobody thought about how you would make that technology secure. And that's the difference where we are now. We now know, everybody now knows everything can be hacked.
Yeah.
Let it be a fridge or a implanted chip in theory or a pacemaker. So I think the awareness is far higher. And then if you look at what we're doing here right now, Hannes and Kaspersky working together is mainly because we are aware of that fact, he's aware of that fact, and we think we can both benefit from working together on making these chips more secure. And if we get these chips secure, then we can also get pacemakers secure. So that's just more or less not a big difference in technology, I would say.
Okay. Okay. No, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, to put it in further context, I mean, what we see is that we have an explosion in terms of wearables. So we have fitness trackers, we have smart hearing aids, we have medical devices, we have exoskeletons that people with hard labor can actually support them to carry heavy things. So it's a whole range of technologies that you have on the skin that are developing very, very fast. And I think Kaspersky is making a smart move, because they're watching this space and to have a very early understanding of what is going on. Because I think that really what a few people are doing today, 1 million people will be using in just a couple of years from now.
It's recording, right? So coming back to the chip that you implanted and demoed, could you elaborate on some of the functions that it does? And also you spoke about the fact that it's not very secure in the current state it is. So could you elaborate on both the things?
Yes, sir. So the chip implants I use mine to replace the key badge to go into my office, so I never forget my keys anymore.
Yeah.
And I have my colleagues, they stand in front of the door looking in their pockets, and I just go past them and I click
Yeah.
with my hand. And you, in a modern office, you have a lot of this connected. You have the printers, you have the alarm, so it's all I turn on and off with this chip implant. But I also use it in different shops, for example, for membership. I use it in the gym to go into the gym. And I also have my personal contact details on my chip. So if I meet someone at the conference, they say, "Can I have your business card?" I say, "Yes, scan my hand."
So that's how I'm going to take your contact details today.
Yeah, I think we will do that. Yes, yes.
All right.
So, but coming to the safety dimension, I mean, this is also about. I want to tell people how does this technology work, so we can understand it better. And the information on this implant is not. You cannot keep it secret.
Okay.
Because other people can read it. You must be aware of this. So you don't put the secret code to your
ATM
safe
pin.
where you have all your jewelry, right?
Yeah.
You shouldn't put it here. But I say that the information you put on the implant is the kind of information you would put on your t-shirt and walk down the street. So then you don't care if someone else read it. If you have, this is my Twitter, this is my favorite band, this is whatever, this type of information.
And you can't put much information on it. It's 880 bytes, so
Yeah.
an empty Word document is bigger.
Yeah.
So it's not really that you can put much information on this. We are completely aware that these are insecure, but then there's two things: not much information on it, and if I want to read my chip, I have to touch it like this, and I have to really touch the chip with the reader.
It's very
So
short
if
distance.
somebody wanted to read my data, they would have to be like this, more or less, and I would most likely recognize this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So where do you see the future of this chip going? How long before you develop the security measures necessary and something like this goes mass market, at least for certain applications? Where do you see the future of this?
I think the safety aspect very much depends on the different uses. But and I'll let you, Rainer, comment on the safety. So, but the user cases that we are looking at right now is that to use this for payments, and for example, simple payments like vending machines or I mean smaller payments. So not to replace a bank card, but maybe to replace like the petty cash. And the second dimension is health logging. That today people have wearables,
Yeah.
but we see that statistically more than 50% of wearables people stop using after 3 to 6 months, because it's an extra thing you have to worry about. You have to charge it, you have to bring it with you, and technology-wise, it's not that hard to make these things smaller and implantable. So I think we will see them used for health in the future. But this is some very different cases that have quite different security applications.
I mean, security-wise, we have some security issues with NFC anyway. So if I touch this, it will automatically trigger an action. So if I put some malicious code on this chip, I could infect a phone just touching it. So that is one of the issues, but that is not an issue of these chips. It's an issue of the technology NFC. And this is something that needs to be addressed sooner or later for sure. But if you just look at these chips, and if you imagine, we would store our health data on it, like long-term health data on it, you most likely would not want somebody to simply be able to read this.
Yeah.
So it would need to be secured. The data would need to be secured, and basically that can only be done with encryption.
Yeah.
But then comes the issue: encryption needs a processor. A processor needs energy, and where would you take that energy from? Well, you could implant a battery with it. Do you really want to have a battery in your hand? I'm not sure. So where would we take that energy from? A colleague of mine once said, "We are all eating so much crap that we don't need, so there's too much energy in our bodies anyway. We just need to find a way to use that energy."
Yeah.
I haven't seen a solution for that yet, but sooner or later someone will come up with a solution, and then we might be able to take energy from the body,
Yeah.
use it to power a little microprocessor
Okay.
on the chip, and encrypt the data. And as soon as the data is encrypted, many of the issues we have now with this would be solved.
So, but I mean, the problem space is not probably not new, because people who have fitness wearables today, talking to an app on their phone, they have already. We have this dimension of very private health data in an app.
Yeah.
So obviously, I mean, the problem in general is not new. It's more that the different platforms.
But I think that's true for every security aspect of these things. It's no new security aspect. It's just we're having it in our body, and that makes people maybe a bit more anxious and a bit more
A bit more
it's a bit
paranoid
more
about it.
awkward maybe for people dealing with data that is in them and not on them.
What would you say is the lifespan of one of these chips that you've put in? So, is after how long would you need to replace it, or it would be?
I mean,
not-
hardware-wise,
Yeah.
these things can last for 10, 20 years.
Okay.
I mean, this is a very well-known technology. We have been putting these implants in animals on industrial scale since the 1990s.
Okay.
So it's very well-known, well-tested. So, and the technical lifespan is very long.
Okay.
And the number of times that you can edit the data, it's, I mean, tens of thousands of times. So, but the reason that I see for changing is really that technology as such will develop. You will be able to have implant with sensors and processors or battery. But there's quite a lot of space in the body, so if you want to put another one here or here, there is room for it, right?
Yeah, you've actually answered 3 or 4 of my questions between these two things.
Sorry for being so quick.
No, but that's all right. Could we shift a little bit to IoT also, because it's kind of the same thing? I was recently reading an article online which said that if 10, 15 years ago you said that somebody could hack your phone and get your credit card information, they'd laugh at you. But today, if somebody said if they'd hack your toaster just by getting access to your phone, you'd just run and unplug it. There's a lot of paranoia, a lot of discomfort, and a lot of misunderstanding when it comes to the Internet of Things, of how it's going to work and what it's going to do from a security standpoint. How safe are you? A good example of keyless entry in your car. If you watch Top Gear, where Clarkson pulled a prank because the key was still in close proximity and drove the car out of the parking way. So it still isn't 100% secure. Could you elaborate on where IoT stands today and where it will be in the future?
Safety-wise or in general?
Safety-wise, and maybe after that in general.
Well, security-wise, it's pretty easy. I can simply quote our CEO there, Eugene Kaspersky, who would say IoT isn't Internet of Things, it's the Internet of Threats. I'm pretty sure he's right in many aspects there. So with lots of these connected devices, no one ever thought about security when they were designed.
Yeah.
Like this fridge that sent your Google login data unencrypted around the world, and everybody could just read it. So in far too many cases, no one ever thought about this. We have this example of our research colleague David Jacoby, who made a nice experiment hacking his own home.
Okay.
So he just took all the devices he had in his home and tried to hack them. He could hack them all, basically. So his TV, his router, his storage device, I don't know what else, but everything that was in there he could hack. And my impression from that is that still many of the manufacturers creating these devices, especially for home use, try to avoid this topic.
Yeah.
So even if we call them and say, we found a vulnerability there, you should fix that, they would rather be like, yeah, but please don't talk about it. While we have others that would be very active in communicating about it, and then would send the next device and say, please have a look at this too.
Yeah.
So many devices, so many different devices, not enough standards in this area make it a dangerous game to play in general.
Yeah.
I think if you look at other areas of IoT, so like industrial IoT, I think they are far further there, because it is far more important to secure them, but still not secure.
Yeah, so you've essentially answered my next question also, but I'll still ask it in case you have more points. Is companies today are looking to push out so many of their products so fast, especially with the Internet of Things. So they are overlooking security pretty, like they're blindsiding it and just getting the products in the market.
I don't want to blame anyone, so I cannot blame any other companies because I don't know their processes. But yeah, my impression is that as there are no standards, everybody is following their own standards, and security in most cases was simply not implemented from the very beginning when those technologies were developed. You will always see issues there, especially if you don't think about security from the very beginning, then implementing it later on is far more difficult.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm pretty sure we will see far more, even bigger issues there.
Because whatever we say, the Internet of Things is happening. So it's I mean it is exploding. There are so many different players that are putting out connected devices that it's very difficult to have an overview. There are many different national standards. I mean it's a total jungle. Yeah.
Okay, so since it's my final question, it has nothing to do with the topics that we've spoken of. Hacking and cybersecurity has been a thing for Hollywood and television shows for a really long time. Your favorite television show, book, or movie on cybersecurity and why?
Well, everybody in our company likes Mr. Robot.
Oh, I was expecting that, yes.
Just because many of the things you see there are very realistic.
Yeah, we actually did a story on the app that he uses to hide his files in the music. The music files in the computer. That's an actually real app.
Yeah.
So we did a story on that. So that was very interesting.
It is indeed very
Yeah.
realistic. So, in many movies, you'd see very unrealistic ideas, or yeah. But if you look at it right now, we see a certain trend of people getting more professional there. If you look at the latest book from the Millennium series,
Okay.
what was it called? I forgot the title. But my colleague David Jacoby, he worked with the author to create realistic hacking scenes. So the author contacted us and asked if we would help there, and we see production companies approaching us asking for help. So there is a certain understanding there now that maybe too much fiction in science fiction doesn't work anymore. And I think Mr. Robot helped a bit there because it made people aware of the fact that yes, most of it is a boring job, people sitting in front of terminals and typing, but you can still make it entertaining enough to make a successful TV series out of it.
And for you?
I mean, I always like Mission Impossible. How these guys, break into the systems.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of people, they have their view of security and how to break into systems very much inspired by Hollywood.
Yeah.
If it's realistic or not, I leave that to the experts.
Yeah, no, it's just this is just pure fiction, your fiction fantasy of security. So yeah, that was it. That was great. Thank you so much. It was
Thank you
a
for
real
your time.
pleasure speaking with you.